Hi there, welcome to the first episode of my 10-minute moan of today. The topic of this is the ridiculous case where the Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre boss, Mridul Wadhwa, who is a gentleman, has now eventually resigned the post of the CEO of the Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre. So this story has been on the go for a while. I've done videos about it before, and it just broke this morning that Mridul has actually stepped down from position, and it comes after lots of issues at the centre and came to light through an industrial tribunal case where a lady was sacked from her position in one case. So that story came out yesterday. Today they've come out with a story about Mridul resigning. So I'll do that story first, and then I'll revert back into some additional information that came out yesterday about the tribunal and what happened with this woman's, she was employed at the Edinburgh Rape Centre and why she was no longer employed at the Edinburgh Rape Centre, but it's a most bizarre story. So the Scotsman headline is Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre boss Mridul Wadhwa resigns as behavioural failings exposed in report. And then we have the main story. The chief executive of the Edinburgh Centre tasked with supporting sexual assault victims has resigned in the wake of a damning report. Mridul Wadhwa, a trans woman, has stood down from the helm of the Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre after the sweeping review concluded she did not understand the limits of her authority. It was also found Ms Wadhwa had failed to behave professionally. Loads of adverts in the Scotsman. The report was commissioned by the Rape Crisis Scotland, the lead national organisation in Scotland working to support survivors and end sexual violence. In a statement issued by the Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre Board, they said the time was right for a change of leadership as the body stressed it was implementing recommendations from the review. The statement said Mridul had stood down from her role. I keep saying her, but Mridul, as you'll find out later on in the story, hasn't had any document changes or anything. So still is legally a man, but people keep wanting to refer to Mridul as her, which I find a bit weird. Anyway, where do we get to? We're committed to delivering excellence while taking on board the recommendations from the independent review to ensure we place survivors' voices at the heart of our strategy. We are in daily communications with Rape Crisis Scotland, have met their urgent demands and are currently implementing the recommendations in the report. We will continue to work alongside RCS to ensure our services not only meet but exceed the national standards. The decision comes after a review of services provided by the centre found its strategy did not put survivors first and failed to protect women-only spaces, with the organisation also falling short of professional standards of behaviour. The review was launched after an employment tribunal concluded Ros Adams, a former ERCC employee, had been unfairly dismissed from her role after expressing gender-critical views. Ms Adams believed that those using the service should be able to know the sex of the staff that deal with their case. Well, I kind of struggle with that. I think it should be even easier to deal with. It should only be women that are dealing with people who have been, victims of a rape at the hands of a man. They're in a particularly emotional environment that to even suggest should be dealt with a man, as long as you tell them, I think it's not even a big enough test. I think it should just be you get dealt with a woman. The tribunal, which found Ms Adams had suffered harassment and discrimination, also concluded that under the leadership of Ms Wadhwa, the centre had overseen a deeply flawed investigation it described as somewhat reminiscent of the works of Franz Kafka. In the wake of the independent review, RCS, which sets standards for member centres, has decided to pause new referrals to the Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre. It describes the findings as challenging, and it said it was extremely concerned that over a 16-month period, the centre did not provide dedicated women-only spaces, despite claiming it was adhering to national standards which require them. So they were kind of telling lies then, because part of the standards are it's women only that deal with you. As I'm suggesting, is probably common sense approach, if nothing else. And they just didn't bother. Now, I'll refer now to an article yesterday in the Daily Mail, which with the headline, Edinburgh Crisis Centre designed to protect women who had suffered serious sexual violence is condemned for failing and damning report. And they give us some additional information, so I'll not read. The independent investigation condemned the centre for insisting traumatised rape victims, who can be as young as 12, must specify if they don't want support from someone born a man. So the onus was put on to the rape victim to actually state that they didn't want support from a man. Do you think they're probably traumatised enough? It would probably be the furthest away, and then when you're presented with somebody who is a man, it would be even more traumatic. But there was other bits in here which are just bizarre. The review was ordered by umbrella organisation Rape Crisis Scotland in May 2024 after scathing employment tribunal judgment ruled that Edinburgh Rape Centre worker Ros Adams was subjected to a hearsay hunt for suggesting a rape victim should know the sex of her counsellor. Tells you all you need to know about this workplace environment where somebody who suggests so much is subject to a witch hunt. The RCS said the review had found significant breaches of standards and was pausing the referral of any new clients. Women-only spaces are required national standard, yet they were not available from October 22 until at least February of this year, when the Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre knew it was facing a tribunal and would be under scrutiny. So that's the only time they changed it. It found that the domineering as chief executive who did not understand the limits of her role's authority, and it said that Wadhwa failed to set professional standards of behaviour. Now there was a bit here. Wadhwa was placed on leave from June this year, a month after she was blamed by the Employment Tribunal for being an invisible hand in the victimisation of Ms Adams for her gender-critical views. The reviewer, charity sector consultant Vicky Ling, said she was also told victims were not using the service because it was deemed unsafe, given there was no guarantee of being seen by a counsellor born as a female. Yeah, can understand that. Wadhwa labelled rape victims bigots and transphobes if they doubted whether a man identifying as a woman should run a centre helping women recover from male violence. This is just absolute mental, and the usual one. Mridul had obviously suggested that people like J.K. Rowling were transphobic, right? Because you shouldn't be asking questions of these people, and there we go. But the long and short of it is, this Mridul apparently has not got any certification transferring, from gender from male to female. Doubtful, therefore, had any surgery, because you kind of think that would be a prerequisite. So it's just beggars belief that this guy has had so much power for so long. But I do have a sense of satisfaction that it seems that we're maybe turning the curve now on this craziness where we're saying no, we're not dealing with this anymore. The other thing, yet the review found the ERCC failed to provide vulnerable victims with safe women-only spaces, while at the same time opening up the services to men. And there is somebody who's a bit of a Twitter thing that jumps about there, guy who claims he's not no sex, no gender whatsoever, who claims, and I don't know if seems a bit of a fantasist, so might never have done it, but claims he went to the Edinburgh Rape Centre after being sexually abused. And he's a guy that describes himself as not a guy. He says he's not a guy or a woman, but apparently went up and gained support. Now, I've not seen that in any newspapers. I've only seen that claim by the person online, which is a bit odd, to be honest with you. And I'm just checking if there was anything else. There was something else. Aye. The review was heavily critical of Wadhwa, who self-identifies as a woman but does not have a gender recognition certificate and is legally a man. So that doesn't suggest you're a trans woman to me, or trans anything. That suggests to me you're a man and you just like to present as a woman. Tell everybody you're a woman. And how you got to this job, because you would kind of imagine being the CEO of a rape centre where, you know, you're going to get vulnerable and emotional women and having just went through a really, really traumatic time. You would kind of think that job in the job spec somewhere would be saying it's the CEO's got to be a female. But Mridul and people like that just think, well, no, I will be a female because I decide. I've not even got a certificate, I've not had any surgery, and I'm legally a man, but I'll just decide what I do, and then wonder why some people get upset. But it's refreshing that this one's came to a sort of decent conclusion where the question of are you a man or a woman is actually quite important, because it can have a knock-on effect to loads of other people. But what we find with this Mridul, I think, is quite normal in respect when I say that the normal part is people like Mridul expect the rest of society to accept them in whatever way they want, regardless of the knock-on effect it has to charity, to the people, the rest of society. And this is a woman who suggested that staff, sorry, it's a man that suggested if staff didn't understand and accept what was going on, then they would be fired, and has made some horrific remarks about people who have been raped, that are just getting told that they're bigoted and they should change their bigoted opinions on the topic of gender. Wadhwa labelled rape victims bigots and transphobes if they doubted whether a man identifying a woman should run a centre helping women recover from male violence. Well, thankfully no war, and I kind of hope that any woman who's had given more trauma because of this situation can get better in the fullness of time. So there we go. If you enjoyed the video, put a thumbs up. If you want to, if you've not already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notifications bell. Put your comments below. They're always good to read. But most importantly of all, unless you're a man that likes to look like a woman and is so selfish, you will not consider any other opinion outside your own, particularly in such a delicate surroundings as a rape centre, for goodness sake. Then not you, but
everyone else. Have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.